This luxury RV had many issues, from electrical to life safety to maintenance. Hey everybody, it's Deb from Deb's RV Services and welcome to today's video. Boy, do I have a good inspection for you today. This was an interesting inspection because it looked so luxurious from the exterior, and I was excited because I had not inspected one of these before. So this is a Class A diesel pusher. It's a Forest River Berkshire XL. I was excited to go out and take a look at it because I had not inspected one before. Upon arriving, looking at it from the exterior, it looked like it was beautiful and well taken care of. I started out by climbing on the roof, and when I got on the roof, I noticed that a lot of the sealant had not been taken care of, so I had to make note that a lot of that needed to be repaired. You know, there's always the end joint caps, the front, the rear, and the different components around the RV. It all needed to be addressed. So after that, I decided I was going to go ahead and run the slides and see how they were working. Well, that's when I noticed that there was definitely some electrical issues or some odd things going on, because the slides made a interesting noise. There was like some bumping and grinding going on, so that was one issue. The other issue was that at the control panel itself, it would just stop. And during the course of trying to run it out, all of a sudden the control panel would time out. So what I had to do is I had to click on that panel, get it to light up again, and then continue bringing the slide in or bringing it out. Now, I'm guessing that there was some kind of setting that could be adjusted with the control panel. So I thought, okay, that's weird. I asked the owner, I said, has this always acted like this? And he said, yes. So the owner was an electrician, so I was kind of curious as to why he didn't go in there and change the settings and so it wouldn't time out. I am guessing that the settings would change. I don't know that for sure, but I'm guessing that that would be the first thing you would look at, is to check the settings. But the other part of it is that it almost seemed to slow down as it was coming in, like there wasn't enough voltage, like there wasn't enough energy to bring it all the way in. It slowed to a crawl. That was very interesting to me, and I had to note that in the report. This all needed to be further investigated because it could be one big issue or it could be separate issues. The other thing with the slide is, after I heard the grinding noises, I went on the interior of it, and the owner did say that he had children, and that was very evident because when I looked underneath the slide from the interior, I could see like pencils and toys and things all stuck underneath, and that is a huge deal, because what you can do is you can ruin the slide by having things underneath there. So like right at all the wheels, you can prevent it from coming in all the way. It can get misaligned, and you can cause all kinds of trouble by having stuff underneath the slide. So I checked that and found, and this was under all the slides. I think there were 3 slides, and all the slides had like pencils and toys and things underneath. The other thing I noticed with the slide was on the bedroom slide, it was out of alignment. So what I did was I noticed it, and I took my finger and I showed a picture of my finger on one side of the slide where it was tight, and then on the other side of the slide where there was a gap. So there was definitely an alignment issue as well. So after I finished doing the slides and noted all that, I noticed that the tires were poor. They were all dated 2018, so all of the tires were going to need to be replaced. I looked at the batteries and noticed that not only was there a loose connection on the battery, which can lead to electrical issues, but I also noticed that the distilled water was low and the batteries had not been maintained, so they needed to be taken care of. So I noted all that and I moved on. There were some sealant issues on the exterior sidewalls, and that wasn't such a big deal. That happens, it's maintenance. But some of the slides where the seals, they were falling apart, and so I noted that they needed to be replaced. So I tested the outdoor shower and noticed that the faucet was leaking right there from the connection, and that does happen a lot. That's kind of common that I find. The outdoor showers, they're plastic fittings and stuff, they just kind of spray water and leak out everywhere. I find that all the time, so that wasn't a big surprise to me, but it was something to write up in the report. So I went ahead and went on the interior, and I decided first that I was going to turn on all the lights, and that's when I noticed that there was something else wonky going on with the control panel. There were lights that would turn on when I wanted to turn on one set of lights, another set would just turn off automatically. And I thought that that's interesting. I've never known that to happen before. So then I also noticed that some of the control panels worked and some of them didn't. So you have the main control panel, and that's where you can run everything. Then you have individual control panels. You'll have one in the bedroom, you'll have one in the living room, one in the kitchen area. And what I noticed was the bedroom one didn't work at all. And then the main control panel in the main room would work some lights, but not other lights. And like I said, some of them would turn off. So there was definitely an issue with the control panel and how it works some of the lights. Now, when I had the water pump going, I also noticed that it was running every 3 to 4 minutes to pressurize. So that told me that there was a problem with the pump or that there was a leak somewhere in the RV. When I went to test the stove, this is an induction stove, so I have a pan that I use specifically for that. I noticed that one of the burners worked and the other one did not work, so that had to get written up. There were 2 furnaces in the RV, and I noticed that one furnace worked and the other one did not work, so that had to be written up. So there were a lot of little things inside of the RV that I found. There was an outlet that didn't have any polarity at all. One of the main themes here was electrical. So I was finding a lot of electrical issues. Was it the control panel itself, or were there other hidden things that were going on that we didn't know about? And that's when I come to the doozy, the end finale of this finding, was that when I went under the kitchen cabinets to take a look, there wasn't a current active leak, but there had been a prior leak, and it was a biggie. When I looked behind there, I saw all the water stains and some darkness and stuff like that, which could be mold. I don't know. I'm not a moldologist, but there were a lot of dark stains under there and a big leak that was like on the other side of the dishwasher. The owner had claimed that he'd never used the dishwasher before. I did run a rinse cycle in the dishwasher and there wasn't an active leak, but I could see from behind it that there were a lot of different stains where something had leaked, possibly from that dishwasher. The big deal is that I saw mouse poo. So it had rodents inside of the RV. What that tells me is that some of these electrical issues could be from rodents. It could not be from rodents. I don't know, but whenever I see droppings, it tells me that rodents were inside of the RV. When you have rodents inside of an RV, they can cause so much damage and such a headache. It would take a technician an entire day, maybe more, to find out everything that the rodent did. They have to look for chewed wires, they have to dig in areas, and it's a lot of money and a lot of work. You could have a ton of damage from rodents. So anytime I see mouse droppings inside of an RV, I'm going to alert my client and say that's a huge red flag. And this was the big finale that told me that this RV was something to definitely stay away from. I would not have purchased this RV. I didn't tell my client that because my job is to provide them with a report and let them make their own decision, but he made the right decision and did not purchase the RV. When you have red flag, big ticket items where could be major repairs, it's not worth it, you guys. This is a luxury RV. And that's why I tell people, I get questions all the time. What do you think of this RV? What do you think of that RV? They can have solid wood cabinetry. They can have solid surface countertops. They could have porcelain. They could be made with stainless steel instead of aluminum. All the right things. But if they were not maintained, or they had some kind of internal, maybe from the manufacturer came out where there was some wonky things, or you had some type of rodent damage, you are going to be paying thousands in repairs. Not to mention all the life safety items were out of date. They all needed to be replaced. There were a lot of things with this RV, you guys, and I was really kind of surprised because the owner was an electrician. So I would have thought that he would have gone through and fixed some of these electrical problems, but maybe he knew that it was bigger than it should be and it was a headache and he just wanted to get rid of it. I don't know. That could not be true, or it could be true. Either way, this was not an RV to purchase. If you want to learn how to do your own DIY inspection, I have created a workbook that is for sale in the link below. It contains over 60 pages. It has pictures in there. It gives you detail on what to look for, what type of things that you might find, everywhere from being on the roof to the exterior to the interior. There's lots of details in there, and you can purchase this, and when I do any updates to the workbook, you are automatically going to get sent another copy. So if you are interested in that, go ahead and click the link below for the workbook. If you also want to join in my monthly newsletter, I do a monthly newsletter where I give you information about what I'm doing currently, more personal. I give you a coffee of the month because I love my lattes, and I always search out a great coffee wherever I go. So I give you that, and I give you a tip of the month that's RV related. You can get that by just signing up for my newsletter, and that is in a link below. When you do that, you also get a free checklist. The checklist can go along with the workbook, or you can just have the free checklist, whatever you prefer. All the links are below in the description of this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. Please like and subscribe. I thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next one.